Good morning, Flosstube. It's Pam, stitching between the lines. Today is Tuesday, April 30th, 2024, and this is Flosstube number 137. So we're here for my usual, annual, monthly, whatever, update of what I did in the month of April. I got a lot more done than I thought. And anything else? No, not that I know of right this second. So yeah, so let's just dive right in. I don't always have a lot of time for a long video or anything. So what did I do? First, my goal, no, let me upside down it a little bit. So last year I went to a retreat that was held locally. I stayed at home, drove there for the day. It was a spin-off from the one of the New England Frugal Yankees. That's it, the Frugal Yankee retreat. And they come here because Hobby House is here. And their brand new store was not even a mile down the road. So, you know, people could go there and shop. So I knew I would have obligations and I didn't sign up because I knew, you know, I'd have the baby babysitting. And so I kind of hemmed and hawed and thought about, well, wonder if I could just sign up for Saturday. And then before I really could formulate a plan, because originally when the dates came out, I had no idea when spring break was. I had no idea. So before I could formulate any kind of plan and take any action, it sold out. So I knew I wasn't going to be able to attend, and, you know, life has to go on. I'll go next year. But Lynette from Homesteading on the Home Front comes to that, and she sent me a message and wondered if we could get together. And so we were kind of making plans, and we decided I would go over Saturday morning and visit. And when I got there, the ladies who organized it were nice enough to say, go home and get your stuff and come back. They'd had a couple people not show up, and they had moved to a different room, so they had more space. The room last year, I don't think, could have held another breathing person. It was just a little crowded. So they're in a more spacious room. So I hurried home, and I don't have here with me like a portable magnifier or things like that, but I wasn't going to let that stop me. So I quick grabbed up a project that I thought I could work on without magnification. And I pulled out my Luca S, what is it, mouse, the bottom is hidden, mouse with a tree, fir tree, mouse with fir tree, something like that. The way the thing is put in here, it's kind of hiding it. But this is so stinking cute. My critter with the fir tree is not going to have a tail. Maybe he looks a little less mouse-like, because, you know, my general rule is I don't stitch mice. So I hurried home and grabbed it and took it. And at the point where I went, I had a lot of his blue jacket to do, some of his red scarf, his blue jeans, his shoes. So I came home and worked on it another day or two. I don't know, Sunday. And I got that much done, and it's so darn cute. I'm starting on him up here, his face. This is not, look at how small this is, and it is not a simple pattern. It is simply not. It's much like when I did pumpkins, which I would expect that to be complicated. I can't really show you the pattern, but when you look at the pattern, the symbols just don't let you know what you're working on. It's just a blob and a color and some more colors and a blob and that kind of thing. So it takes some serious concentration. But I'm up into his face just barely, and I don't know when I'll pick it up again, but his cuteness is, you know, makes it hard to resist. I'm doing it on the kit fabric, which is opalescent Ada. It's actually an Ada, which is probably why I thought I could work on it there without magnification. 16 count Ada. So when Luca S patterns come out, she has there's this great scale across the bottom, which tells you all kinds of pieces of information. This one tells you it's cross stitch and some outlining stitches. If there were various other kinds of stitches, they would be highlighted. It's on Ada, 16 count, I guess this means, oh, this is the color of the fabric. It uses anchor floss, the number of colors, 46, and the difficulty level, the skill level, which this is a 2.5 out of 5, which would be probably true. Probably true. Because the spaces, well, it's kind of confusing what the heck you're doing. You know, if you can keep your spot, you're probably doing okay. I believe I have had to involve a highlighter in this, and that's not something I commonly need. Of late, some of my patterns are more difficult. I've had that highlighter out more. But they are small spaces, so it's, you know, you get through it. And then it tells you the height and width, which is 22 by 15 centimeters. And this is telling us, I guess it's giving you sort of a little example of what the pattern might look like with the outlining stitches over it and whatnot. So it's a nice reference tool on these patterns. I'm not sure anybody else does this. Don't quote me. I don't know. I don't know. So that one got a little bit of time. And then my focus piece, as I told you about last month, was going to, no, that's not entirely true. Starting the first week of April was Easter break. And so I wanted to pull out and work on rural post office at Christmas. And it's just it has a lot of parts and pieces, a lot of thread, a lot of the pattern is all on one page, but it's folded and folded. And so you spend a lot of time doing that, flipping, flipping, flipping. And it's just a lot of crazy detail. I'm going to get up close. It's like it's an oil painting. And so there's so many like weird colors that make up things. As you can see, I mean, there's blue in there and red and brown and tan, cream. The tire alone, this tire, which part of it is out of the picture with this frame, took me 4 days. 4 days of stitching. When I get to this tire, when I was looking, after this one was finally done, I was like, oh, there's another tire. Ugh. This time, when I do this one, which will be, I don't know when in the future, I maybe will try to pre-thread a lot of the colors because they're so scattered all over, and I'm hesitant to go far with a thread and to take it to the next place that color appears, just because that's just an error waiting to happen. And I will also say that when I was doing the tire, if there was a color here that appeared in here, then I would, you know, come over here and work on it. So I had said in my last video, I was going to work hard on it for a week, and that was all I could guarantee. And I did actually continue it for most of the month and worked on it quite a bit. So let's see where we're at. So when I pulled it out, I had, you know, this stuff has all been done. And last summer I did the cow and the rails on the truck or the side of the truck. And I've been outlining things as I go because it helps it look like something. And there's a tremendous amount of outlining, and there's a lot of colors of outlining. Lots of colors. So this time, what I did was the tire, and then all of this and the ground. This actually went pretty quickly because it's just a lot of rows of straight stuff with some blobs of other stuff. So that was essentially my full month of work on this. And I lied, the tire didn't even extend as far as I said. It just felt like it did. This is a crazy pattern. The first place I saw it was Pam on Just Keep Stitching, and I fell in love with it immediately, and I talked about it, and a viewer gifted it to me, which I very much appreciated. Thank you. I thanked you many times, I think. And she had, I'm pretty sure this was not the kit fabric. This feels to me like that, I don't know if it's that MCG or whatever it was that you used to be able to get at Joann's. I love I love it though. It's so supple, like thick and lovely. Lovely to hold. I stitch in hand. So, oops, sorry. And that's what I did, and it took me the month. So what I think I'll do, this probably puts me in the area of a third, a little more than a third, but not halfway. I think the center occurred somewhere up in here, because that's where I started, was right up in here. I think what I will do is next go round, I'll go back to the top and start working and work my way down. I really am kind of saving the cab of the truck until close to the end, because that's really the best part, I think. I know it's not easy. When Pam said she was stitching it, she started in the cab of in this area, and she said how complicated it was just to see beyond all the outlining, and that is the truth. It's crazy. I was between this pattern and another pattern I was working on, which I actually didn't bring. I worked on it just little smidges here and there when I was home at our lake house for occasionally at an afternoon or whatever. There were, for example, I'm pretty sure it was on this one, there's like, there's French knots. And so the symbol are the dots, and there's like 4 different colors of French knots. So the dot that's red is actually uses blue thread, and I believe there's another somewhere where it uses red thread. And I was just like, as I'm making my way through it, and I said to my husband, it's like they don't even care about us. The designers don't even care about us. Why in the world would you make a red dot be a different color when there's a different color, when there's going to be red French knots ultimately in the pattern? So that was like crazy. But all the colors, oh man alive, the colors, I'm going to get this out for you just to show. Look at how many colors of backstitching there are. And let me tell you, when you're looking at your pattern and it calls for this blue or this purple, it is really hard to figure out when you're looking at the pattern what color are each of those stripes. So then you're trying to twist the pattern around and put it on match it up to the color of the outlining, because, you know, this is all on one side of the pattern. So I've chopped it apart, put it behind something that'll help it last longer. Yeah, here's my red dot, which is not red. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. It's very crazy, all the things. All the things. Yeah. Yeah, my original, when I copied the key, I copied the outlining only in black and white, and I foolishly thought, I wrote out what, it says it's red, so I wrote what number that was, so then you can find it in all of these. But then I couldn't match the front of the pattern to this. So I had to do a color copy. So yeah, that was fun. Fun, 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 not fun. But the reward, it will be so worth it. Come on, it's going to be so worth it. So I'm griping. That's all I'm doing is griping. And then the other thing I pulled out to work on, which kind of unexpectedly just was the mood that hit me, was I talked about this last time because I'd worked on it a little bit last month, and I was a little bit sparse in knowledge, let's just say. It is a limited editions by Twin Peak Primitive. So don't look at the website down here because they are using an Etsy shop now, and it's TPP Limited Editions. It has an S on the end. TPP Limited Editions. If you watch this video the minute it comes out, you maybe will have a chance to get this. So over the weekend, this past weekend, I was looking at Etsy, perusing Etsy, and just, you know, things that are kind of fun to do. And on the TPP Limited Editions, in the TPP Limited Editions shop, they said so many people have asked us to re-release this. And I was reading a text, sorry. They said so many people had asked them to re-release it that they were considering it. They were taking sign-ups and they would start shipping May 1st. Well, May 1st is tomorrow. So I hurried over the weekend and posted on my Instagram account that information. And I went this morning to confirm if it was still there or not. And it was there. So on the Etsy, in Etsy, I just Googled winter cheer winter cheers, and I don't even think I needed to put in TPP, and it came up and linked, you know, I could go right straight to the shop where it said they had 5 more available, and it was in 8 people's carts. So quick, if you didn't, you know, see my Instagram or follow me on Instagram, I pretty much let everybody follow me that wants, but I do need some sort of evidence that you're a cross stitcher, because I understand a lot of people's pages are private. What it will show me, even if your page is private, is who else follows you that I follow or follows me. So that's kind of a, you know, a hint that you're actually a cross stitcher. But if, you know, you're some guy's face and some guy's name, even if you're using your husband's, I'm not going to let you in. So there. Yeah. So that was good news, happy news, because this is such a pleasure to stitch. So I got it when it was a limited edition gift box or whatever. So it came with the fabric, which I thought I stuck the wrap. Oh, the wrapper's right here. Oh, if you order it right away from Twin Peak Primitives Limited Editions, it's not a kit. It's, sorry, it's just the pattern, which is really fine because everything about the pattern is DMC thread. It's Fabric Flare fabric, and it was Fabric Flare 32 count stone. Fabric Flare. See the name. See the fabric. That's red. You know, Fabric Flare is readily available online. And it's fine. The fabric is fine, but I really think you could use just about anything. It's just kind of a mottled gray. And we got a project bag with it and a couple other little things. But honestly, it's about stitching this piece, not about the extras. So here's where I am on that. Where I left off at the end of March, which I only had picked it up and worked on it a tiny bit. I had started all the alternate fill-in on the house. That wasn't done. I needed to do all the white on the windows. I did the door. I did the roof, the snowflakes. I think I had started this just up a little bit. So finished that. I'm working right here. I don't have all the snow on the branches. And I had decided I needed to do the face that's here so then I could fill in whatever was going on here. It is such a pleasure to work on. It's just a really nice pattern, easy to use. I started out doing it one ply of floss over 2 threads because it's 32 count, which is fine. But after I got going, I thought it was like too thin. But once I filled in like every other row to finish the house, I really do like the look of it. Hate doing snowflakes, so I've done the 2 biggest ones, so they're done. And it is really a pretty pattern. I'm looking forward to working on the border. You know, I'm not really a like reproduction sampler stitcher, but I often admire the borders, so it's a pleasure to stitch. I'm going to probably work this little section here, and then I might go up and start the straight border so I can start the actual big border. I don't think I'll do all the border first. I like the idea of doing a border and then closing in on it, but obviously I started in the center, so it's kind of too late to backpedal there. So whatever, I'll do whatever I feel like when the time comes. So that's pretty much all I worked on in the month of April, with the exception of one new start, right? I started something. Everybody get up off the floor, catch your breath, because you know how I am about starting things. I either start a bunch of stuff or I don't start anything forever. But I decided yesterday I was going to start something. So yesterday I started this summer sampler it's a Jan Lynn kit by Sandy Orton. And you can get this pattern on, let me think. Oh, what's the name of the website that Sandy Orton's stuff? I wrote down lots of notes. This was not one of them. Maybe it'll be maybe I'll link it below, or I'll put it in the comments. I'm trying not to have a lot of interruptions in the video of putting pictures in or words on the screen, because the editing of that takes really a long time. If I edit in some words across the screen, I have a hard time even though it ends, it scrolls and then it ends. If I move on down the video and want to do it again, it just keeps popping back to where I did the last one. So I have to exit out of it and wait a while and go back in. So anyway, it's sort of a editing challenge. Let's call it that, an editing challenge. So I did the winter sampler, which is unbelievably beautiful. It is so beautiful. I do not have it with me to show you, but I worked on it in my time of Flosstube. So I don't know, at some point. So this one alludes to the fact that maybe the autumn one came out first, because it tells you that summer sampler is a companion piece to autumn. So here's summer, here's autumn. The stitching has gotten more complicated as time goes by. So this one's kind of a simple look. It's a little more simple, certainly, than the winter one. And love this. See, there's a lot more like empty space that you fill in with just little background things. And even the center, on the winter one, the center scene, I did two. One was Santa and one was winter, and the Santa one also, believe it's a Sandy Orton pattern. So I'm confusing the two. With the one has an enormous Santa complicated centerpiece, and then things off of it go a little quicker. But the winter one is definitely more detailed than this one. And then I have the fall one. I do not have the spring one. I was thinking if I really wanted to do it, I'd just go to the website and get it. There is something about the spring one I don't like. Every time I look at it, I think, I just don't like. And I'll have to look at it and maybe reconsider it. We'll see. I have a lot to stitch before I might be circling around to one of these that I don't own. So anyway, the colors are delighting me. I had to sort, the thread comes all sorted on floss cards, but it's just it's not even in numeric order. It's not in the, I don't know the logic of it. And so I spent some time sorting it numerically. And then there's a whole bunch of floss, I'd say 4 different colors that you get, that apparently I've sorted it by the chart. I don't think I have the thing with me. I sorted it in order that the symbols are numerically, and there were 4 colors that they're on the page I was looking at anyway had no symbols. So I don't know. So it was a lot of fussy business. But anyway, I started it yesterday. I started on the kit fabric because you know that's how I roll. I pressed it all and everything, but I didn't super duper hard press it. So I started right in the center, doing this, what appears to be a postcard-ish. It has a postcard feel to it. And I'm trying to manhandle the fabric a lot because I work in hand and it will soften up and it will, you know, be really easy to work on soon. So I'm rolling it up and working, and then if I need to do some, I crunch it and whatever, it'll be fine. I'm going to work on it again today, so we'll be working on more of this. And then probably tomorrow I will go into my May focus piece. We'll just hop right ahead to that. Is going to be back to winter cheer. I really didn't want to put it away, but then I decided, let me start something new and work on it for 2 days, and then I'll come back to this for the month of May. Maybe finish it. And then I was thinking about my smaller piece. You know, that's how I roll. I work on a major piece for the month and usually a minor piece. And I was thinking of different things I might pull out, but it could be that it'll be this. It could be it'll be summer sampler, because finishing this would be nice. It would be a nice stopping point, would be to finish this, you know, block. But we'll see. You know, sometimes the wind blows and I change my mind. I get more stitching done than I thought I would with the babysitting, because I stitch when she naps. I can't do a lot of other things. It's not like I can run errands or run the vacuum or whatever. So I do get some sewing, stitching done. So more than I would on a normal day, like in my normal everyday life, I wouldn't be at 9:30 in the morning stitching, because it's just not usually how I roll. So May and June, our school goes all the way to the end of June. Excuse me. So, yeah, I haven't counted how many weeks that is. And then, okay, so my other plan is floating around plan. I kitted this up a while back. This is Sue Hillis's Christmas Morning, which came out, I think, in 2021. Yeah. And I really want to do, you know, this box. Excuse me. So I got it out to start it once. I have the Vintage Country Mocha. I've got all the things. And there was something about the starting off instructions that were, I was like, I don't know. I think, what was it? Holy cow. She has another box, right? I'm pretty sure. And there was something in the pattern that was not correct. I don't know if she gave instructions and called it, I don't know. It just wasn't where I was starting that day. It just wasn't happening. So I just passed on it. I guess I didn't have the brain power or want to invest the brain power. I'm looking to see if it jumps right out at me, because there's a lot of pages, because there's the finishing instructions too for it. Yeah. But the reason I'm talking about this is I plan to go in search of the box so that I know I have that. In the event there needs to be any manner of adjustments to anything. There's sources for it. I don't want to go to like the factory direct or whatever it tells you, wherever she tells, yeah, factory direct crafts, because I only want one box, just one. For the paper mache box, I'm going to go look at Hobby Lobby. We'll see where that gets me. So that's what I'm getting closer and closer to starting. We will see. You know, nobody hold their breath. Nobody start it because I said I was going to, because who the heck knows what I'll do. So, that's not a lot of whips. That's actually I'm up to a dozen. I had been coming to, I finished 3 things so far this year. So, yeah, I was actually thinking about seeing how many I could finish this year without starting anything new. But, I don't know. Whatever. So let's move on to semi-non-stitching things. Well, first of all, I have a little tidbit of information that I got from somewhere. So this thread, this DMC thread, I needed to buy for a previous, I think it was for the Christmas carols, 12 Christmas carols. And I didn't put it on a spool. I just pulled out some, and here's the extra. I'll get it there. Obviously, I didn't have any of the 3801, so I went and bought it. But here's what I learned. Okay, so see the number 3801, and then it has a dot after it. The dot indicates that this is the new die lot. Now, I had to go buy it, which means I don't have it, so I can't compare it to see if there's any change. Which doesn't mean that the spool isn't in another, the bobbin isn't in another project. Because when I kit things up, I pull out of my main big huge collection of DMC bobbins, and then the next time I try to kit something up and I don't have it, I just go buy it, bobbinate it, and put it in the next project. It all comes back together into the big box, and if I have 6 of one thing, well, that's 6 of whites or blacks or whatever. You know, if it's a commonly used one, I will wheedle my way down again. So, whittle my way? Yeah, that, whittle. So, that dot. If you are trying to, if you were using 3801 and it didn't have a dot and you needed to go buy more, maybe you could pilfer through the box of, you know, with the little box when you go to the Michael's or wherever you get your floss and find one without the dot so that you know, didn't have a die lot problem. But I'm not going to say there's a die lot problem. I'm just telling you how to tell that you got a new die lot. So that. Okay, so non-stitching things. First of all, I must thank Vanna. Thank you so much, Vanna. Vanna, in her last video, which came out at some point in April of 2024, she features pieces that people have posted that are just very, very eye-catching and, you know, worthy of a mention. And she showed my Kingdom of Books, which I finished and got framed and showed you all last month. So thank you, Vanna. That was very, very sweet. Lots of new followers out of that. And Instagram, lots of new Instagram followers that also follow Vanna. So I'm pretty sure they got here from her. So that was very sweet. I'm reading my note, not just looking away from everybody. And then the only other thing I think is the books. I only have 2 books worth mentioning, and I'm going to use my other iPad to show you pictures. So my other iPad quit charging. This is my older one, and the charger thing wouldn't go in the charge port and stay there for a while. You could hold it in place and it would connect and it would charge. So off I go to the Apple store with an appointment, and they're like, oh, we can't fix it. We will sell you a refurbished version of the same iPad. I'm like, no, I want it fixed. Like, I'd already looked online on YouTube, where you learn everything, and found that it is a fixable. They were showing a video of how they fixed it, which I knew was over my abilities, right? Let's just say that. So I knew it could be done. So I Google it and I'm looking it up and yes, okay, so it can be done. So I go to the Apple store with an appointment, and I get there and they're like, no, we can't fix it. I bought AppleCare on that one because it was the one that replaced one where the screen got smashed. And I'm like, all right, AppleCare. Well, my AppleCare had expired. Didn't know that was a thing. And it wasn't covered by warranty, the charge port. I'm just like, I get so disgusted every time. I don't want another thing in the thrown away electronics bin, right? How many old phones, how many old whatevers. So I went and searched online and found in the next town over is a store called We Fix iPads or something like that. So I took it there and they did fix it. We went to another place here in town, or the next town over, whatever. And they actually turn out to be like just an Apple store, essentially, not called Apple Store, but that's all they do in there. And they said, we could sell you one for, the same one, a refurbished one. I'm like, no. So anyway, I went to the repair shop and they fixed it. And so now I'm like, ooh, I wonder if I shoulda, coulda, woulda, coulda, shoulda taken my smashed glass one there to a place like that. I still have it. Every now and then I have to charge it up and get something off of it, because while things are in your cloud or whatever, if you've purchased, like in the case of my Heaven and Earth design pattern, I had purchased it and it was on that iPad and that iPad only, and it didn't like go in the cloud and transfer, and I had to send it there and transfer it, whatever, however these things happen. So even though the glass is shattered, you can still charge it and touch the glass gently, and like, oh, I wonder if I should take it there and get it fixed. So I'm thinking about it. Not that I need another iPad, but I do really like having 2. I have a nice new one and this older one that it won't, like when I make a video, it won't save it because it says it doesn't have space. But if I look at the space, there's tons of space. So whatever was going on, it was giving me a real hardship there. But it lets me show you things. That's a long way around the block to get to this, where I'm just going to pop this up and show you. I read Being Henry, The Fonz and Beyond by Henry Winkler. Oh, man. Wow. Holy cow. Cooper, that would be my cat, who visits me everywhere, one way or another. So I did the audio version of it. He reads it. Very good. Very, very good. I was of the age where we all watched Happy Days every whatever night of the week it was on. And so, yeah. So that was interesting. And I'd already read the book written by, what's his name? Richie Cunningham. Holy cow. Yeah, pull things out of my memory I didn't know I was going to need. Risky. And so he had already talked a little bit about some of the things that were the controversy a little bit, and Happy Days and who's the star and who's getting more airtime and more stories revolve around and stuff. So that wasn't news to me. And then the other book, it's actually another audio book that I am currently listening to, is, hang on, you know, every now and then Goodreads lets you down, is, let's get it up here, The Most Fun We Ever Had, which I found this book, look, you can look out my front window. I found this book, I don't know where. It had a prettier cover, but this is the one on Audible. So there it is. It's The Most Fun We Ever Had by Claire Lombardo. I'm very much enjoying this. It's a very long book, and I'm going to say it was like 20 hours of listening time. It's a saga, decades long, of a family that had 4 daughters, and the trials and tribulations and the drama and the things that come out of the woodwork, things you didn't know happened, and you learn about it in the future. Like one of the girls, this is early on, one of the girls had a baby they gave up for adoption, and he makes a reappearance, the baby, as a teenager. And so he becomes part of the storyline and how it all transpired and what all went on and that kind of stuff. So I am enjoying it. You get to know the mom and dad back when they were young and dating in early years of marriage and all that kind of stuff. And now we're mostly into the, I don't want to say current time, because I think there's some more future to go through coming up. I'm about 75% done with the book. Like I said, very much enjoying it. And yeah, I would recommend it. So I know people talk a lot, I hear in the book world, that there's people who don't like when a book goes backwards and forwards. But what I'll say about this book, which does do that, every chapter is labeled with the years, a year or the years that it's going to cover. So that makes it a lot easier to know you're going back in time. Pretty much once you went back, you don't go back. You know, every step back is still a move forward in that era of the book. So if that made any sense, you're only going back and forth as time progresses. Very much enjoying that one. I have an Audible subscription, which my husband gets me for Christmas every year. So every month I get a book, and that's where you can get them. A lot of these books you can get from the library and that kind of thing, but I enjoy this. I don't have a due date. It's mine. I can listen to it again. So that's what I like. So those were my Audible purchases in the last couple months. And what else? What else is going on? It's the end of a month, the start of another month. April will be busy. I say that about every month, I think, but April starts to be like where there's a lot of springtime. My son and his wife have finally bought a house. Finally, I say finally. It's just that it's a very, very hard task in this area. It's supposed to close tomorrow, and then some point in the month of May they'll be moving, but then every weekend is like filled up with Memorial Day and plans and Mother's Day and that sort of thing. There's a big quilt show I do not want to miss. I'm going there one way or another. I love that quilt show. It's in Rochester, and it's every other year, and I missed last time. I don't remember why. So, and probably they didn't have one for a couple times because of COVID, so I'm really looking forward to it. Anything else? I don't think so. We've talked stitching, we've talked books. I would rather recap May at the end of May than tell you what things are coming up in terms of what my personal life plans are, because, you know, who knows? Who knows how they'll all play out. So yeah. All right. So everybody enjoy the rest of your Tuesday or whatever day you're watching this. Spring has sprung here in the Northeast and northeastern New York. And yeah, we're good to go. Have a good one. Thanks. Bye.